We see on the ground that there are boys that are also victims of sexual abuse and sexual exploitation. However, that's something that is not talked about. So if it's difficult for girls to talk about sexual violence, I think it's even more difficult for boys to disclose. And unfortunately, though, I have to say that this form of gender bias is also perpetuated by our policies, by our laws. For example, of course, we have a revised penal code, which is basically a translation, direct translation of the Spanish penal code. And we have there a provision on seduction. When we say seduction, basically it's an adult having sexual intercourse with a minor without the use of force or threat or intimidation. So basically, it's really grooming. Grooming a child for sexual activity so that by the time sexual activity happens, there's no more need for force, threat, or intimidation.
It's seduction, it's not rape?
It's
Akala
not.
ko yung
It's not.
statutory
Well,
rape. It's not.
It's not. If it's above 12 but
yes.
below 18. So it's still a minor.
Yes.
However, the victim there can only be female.
Yes,
okay.
that's right.
Because it requires that the victim, again, is a minor above 12 and also must be a virgin.
Hanggang
And-
ngayon, meron pa nun?
It's
Ano
there.
nadidetermine
It's there.
yan?
It's
Revised penal
there.
code?
We have that under the revised penal code. And
There has been no
unfortunately-
amending law?
No, not as of this time. And unfortunately, that's still being used. And another thing, aside from the requirement that the victim should be a virgin, of course, it's been interpreted that virginity should be about, not literal because, well, it's a philosophy. Of course, it cannot be proven by medical science. But that the victim should be a person, should be a child of, basically of good reputation. Which,
Nakalagay doon?
Yes. Which is again a
Yes, of
violation
course.
of
It's
our policy on
discriminatory.
rape shield rule.
Yeah.
You cannot bebueltahan ka, sisiraan ka for you to prove that you've been a
good
victim.
reputation.
The burden of proof is
Yeah.
on you.
Is on you, exactly. And then
Sa girls pa yan, ha?
and sa girls, and sa girls, and
Okay.
so that's how difficult this law on seduction that we have. I have this years ago. I think that was in 2000. I encountered this case involving an 11-year-old boy, and the sexual abuse was disclosed only because he was infected with sexually transmissible infection, gonorrhea. And so it turned out that his teacher invited him to the teacher's house and for allegedly a special project. And then so he was served alcoholic drinks. And so when he got drunk, was stimulated, and the boy, 11 years old, inserted his penis into the anal orifice of the teacher.
Oh, dear.
So he never told anyone about it. It was only because he contracted gonorrhea. That, of course, it's a red flag already. That's a sexually transmissible infection. And so when we encountered that case, we couldn't even file for, we couldn't even apply, for example, RA 8353 or the anti-rape law. Or RPC on seduction.
Physical injury lang siguro kaya
Because it
dun,
was
no?
the boy inserting
yes,
his
right.
penis into the anal orifice of the teacher. And under Republic Act 8353, the anti-rape law, there is sexual assault when the offender
Oh my.
will insert his penis into the anal or
Wow.
oral orifice of another
Oo
person.
nga, ano? Oh, wow.
So it doesn't apply.
That's why
Automatic.
gusto ko rin
Kahit
So,
yung
happened.
seduction,
So,
hindi
happened.
pwede?
Hindi din.
So, hindi
din.
nakasuhan.
Hindi pwede.
So, acts of lasciviousness.
Acts of
But that's so
lasciviousness.
minor.
Yeah, that's so, yeah.
It is.
Pwede acts of
correctional.
lasciviousness.
Parang
We
hipuan mo lang
argued
yun.
acts of lasciviousness, but the boy actually didn't want to file.
So in the end,
Is
He
it a
didn't
personal
feel.
crime?
He didn't feel
But that's what I
he's-
wanted to
Is it a
ask.
personal
Because you were
crime?
saying...
It is a public crime. Unfortunately, the boy did
Kung
not
ayaw
want to
mag-testify.
testify.